you a little short for a stormtrooper?
What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. We are recapping the week's nerdy news from the Daily Planet to Planet Hulk and everywhere in between. My name is Mike Gibson, and that was my second worst intro of the night. With me, as always, is Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Yeah, a lot of Marvel. That's what's up.
A lot of Marvel. A little DC.
Little DC.
And no Star Wars. Because this Friday is Star Wars Celebration 2023, a weekend-long festival. Is it a festival? Convention.
Convention, yeah. We'll go
Does
convention.
it qualify as a festival? What qualifies a festival and a convention as a convention?
I don't know. Are festivals outdoors?
There's maybe festivals are outdoors.
All right,
Maybe.
we're already off the
But like,
rails.
there's still like a bunch of people getting together to like celebrate something.
You don't call it a Renaissance convention.
And you don't call it it's not called San Diego Comic Festival.
Point.
Maybe they just, those are the words that they are because that's what they are. I don't
Hi, you're now listening to the existential crises of the Multiverse Report.
know. So anyway, there's no Star Wars news this week, but you can bet that next week, Steve and I are going to be here talking tons of Star Wars news.
Oh, and I wasted my good Star Wars shirt on tonight's recording.
Well, you can wear your less great Star Wars shirt.
Does that mean I have
next
to,
week.
I could just wash it during the week, I guess?
You got that super cool Ahsoka
True.
Tano shirt.
Yeah. Or the Gonk
Right on.
droid.
Or the yeah, you got a Gonk shirt, dude.
Mm.
You're fine.
Point.
So many cool Star Wars shirts.
Oh,
Anyway.
so we might not be talking about Star Wars, but if you do want to see or hear or listen to a recap of The Mandalorian and the Bad Batch that happened this week, both of them were bangers, and we just talked for about 25 minutes to a half an hour on them right before we did this. But it's somewhere in your podcast feed. And if you don't have a podcast feed, you should. You should subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review and go from there.
Or if you're watching this on YouTube, that should be in your feed also. You can just watch it on, or our feed on the YouTube page as well. But if you are going back to listen to that episode, pay close attention at the beginning. See if you can spot me screwing up the intro. It's very subtle.
It's extremely subtle.
Anyway, a lot of Marvel news tonight. And starting off with another report from our number one movie journalist, Jeff Sneider, who apparently said on his podcast this week, I read this comicbookresources.com, CBR.com, was reporting that Jeff Sneider said this on his podcast. So I'm getting it kind of secondhand from them. But he said that he hears that Marvel is reducing their output for the MCU. And this is like definitely in line with things that we've heard recently. Bob Iger speaking to it. And just the fact that they just can't possibly keep up with the pace they've set for themselves and keep everything quality. Jeff Snyder's quote was, "Marvel's target output has been reduced. I don't know if this has been reported or if this was a line in the trades or whatever, but I'm told the target output has been reduced from 4 shows and 4 movies a year to 2 shows and 3 movies a year. And of course, that's malleable. You could get one on either side of that or whatever." Now, it's not too surprising because this year we're only getting 3 movies. I don't know that we ever had 4 movies on the schedule for this year. We're getting Ant-Man,
Deadpool 3
we
was
already
supposed to be
got.
this year.
What's that?
Wasn't Deadpool 3 supposed to be this year? Or was that before it was an MCU movie?
See, I don't remember because things
Yeah.
get announced and then they get moved, and I don't remember details. But we got Ant-Man, we're getting Guardians 3, and the Marvels we're getting in the fall. So those are the 3 movies. But the comic book resources part of this report claimed that the only show that's currently set to debut this year is Marvel's Secret Invasion. If you want to hear Steve and I talk about the trailer to Secret Invasion that just came out today, you can also find that episode in your podcast feed. We did a special spin-off reaction to that trailer.
If you like
But
hearing Mike and
anyway-
I talk, tonight was the night.
Yeah, tonight's your night. Yeah, happy birthday, Merry Christmas to you people that love the sound of our voices. And yeah, originally, I think even last week or one of the last 2 weeks, we talked about how Secret Invasion and Loki season 2 were supposed to both come out this
Yeah.
year. According to CBR, they're saying only Secret Invasion is going to come out this year, and Loki's getting pushed to 2024. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Not me. But this reduction of output from Marvel, I don't know. I think it's coming at a good time, and it seems like it's already kind of happening. Like, we're only getting 3 movies this year. We may only get the 1 show. If we do get another one, we'll only get 2. So, like, they're already there. But that means eventually, probably later this year, we're going to get announcements of things being delayed because, we saw they had a ton of stuff announced for 2024, 2025, 2026.
Mhm.
So those things are definitely getting pushed or canceled or whatever. We shall see. Because if they're only doing 3 movies a year and 2 shows a year, then that's going to stretch all that stuff out. And it's going to be a long time before we get to, Secret Wars or whatever, So it'll be interesting to see if they all stay. Like, if like, they're all, like, a lot of them are going to get moved, but it'll be interesting to see if anything gets dropped completely for the sake of getting to the end point quicker,
Yeah. No, and
I don't know.
I don't know. That is going to be a weird one. 'Cause
Like,
I'd
do
almost
we need an arm? How essential will Armor Wars, the movie, be to setting up Kang Dynasty or Secret Wars? You know what I mean?
right.
like-
Or do they just push Kang and Secret Wars out like they should have from the beginning and like give
Well,
things a
yeah.
little room to breathe?
Well, I mean, I'll take all of them, but I'm just saying I'll take all of them in whatever timeline. And I've said 1,000 times on this show since we started doing it, there's been no time in the history of the Multiverse Report podcast where I wasn't already burnt out on Marvel content. So
Right.
I am down for this. 3 movies a year still is a little much for me. Like, take that down to 2 movies a year and I'm big time back in. But even now, I feel like it's been a while. Well, that's not true because She-Hulk was just last year, but it doesn't feel like we've seen a Marvel show in a while because we haven't seen one at all this year yet.
Right.
And we're not getting Secret Invasion until June. And I'm pumped about Secret Invasion because the trailer looks good and I got a while to go and I don't have to, like, check off the box of, watching 3 other movies and 3 other shows before I get there.
Mhm.
There's less pressure around it. So I'm all in favor of a reduction in scope. And I guess, like, I'm going to be interested to see when we get those announcements of inevitable delays, inevitable shifts
Right.
in their schedule, what they're going to be.
Yeah, it's pretty much
And what-
guaranteed something's going
Yeah.
to move.
For sure. Or, like, do they not, like, some of those movies that they haven't announced yet for Phase 6, do they bother announcing them?
Yeah.
It's going to be there's going to be a lot going on. I don't know. Interested to see what happens. One thing that I'm very excited about happening is a return of a character to the MCU, and that is Betty Ross from The Incredible Hulk, as played by Liv Tyler. Liv Tyler is returning to the MCU, reprising her role as ex-girlfriend of Bruce Banner, Betty Ross. She originally appeared as a character in The Incredible Hulk, starring opposite Ed Norton, who is no longer Bruce Banner in the MCU. She's going to be returning in Captain America New World Order, the Captain America 4 movie starring Anthony Mackie as Captain America. Another thing I'm very excited about.
Well, it makes sense.
When
because her dad's in
What's
it.
that? Yeah, dude. When I read this, I was like, Liv Tyler's coming back? Amazing. I was like, for a long time, I felt like, especially after William Hurt came back as
Mhm.
Thunderbolt Ross in, what was it, like Civil War? Was that the first one he showed up in again?
Think so, something like that.
Yeah. And then he was in a couple other ones. But when he came back, I was like, oh, now it's only a matter of time before Liv Tyler comes back as Betty Ross. Like, why not?
Right.
Now she's back, super excited. And then reading this article about her return, I had forgotten that Tim Blake Nelson is returning as his character from Incredible Hulk.
Yep.
And he's going to be the leader. So he's going to be like the bad guy. Leader is a classic Hulk villain. At the end of the Incredible Hulk, they tease his transformation into the leader, where he's got some of the radioactive blood or whatever dripping into like a wound on his brain, and his brain is starting to like bulge inside of his head, and like the leader is classically it's very strange.
So
I can't wait to see this guy.
Yeah,
in
I
live
can't. I'm
action.
very curious as to how they're going to do that. And
How they're gonna do that, because he's like, from his like forehead down, besides being green, he's kind of normal looking, but like his forehead up is like a giant exposed brain,
right.
like way bigger than a normal, like poking out of his head, and just very strange. I can't wait to see that. And then also Thunderbolt Ross is going to be in this movie. Her passed away, an incredible actor, but Harrison Ford has been recast as Thunderbolt Ross, and he's going to be in this movie too.
Yes, also an incredible actor.
Plus, Carl Lumbly, I think is his name, is returning as Isaiah Bradley. Like, I was like, wow, I am incredibly excited for Captain America: New World Order, like more than I remembered being. And I don't know if it's just because I like the Incredible Hulk too, so I don't know if it's because like these characters are coming back, and it's going to be like the payoff of, the tease of Tim Blake Nelson turning into the leader that I saw in 2008. And I'm finally going to get a payoff of it. I just think like I've tried to like analyze all the reasons why I feel a little more detached from the MCU, and I know part of it is they're just throwing so much at me, and maybe part of it is that I feel like they're going with spectacle over character. But tying things back to phase 1, when I was like full of excitement and wonder, and I can't believe that they're doing this, kind of feels about the MCU phase 1 and the beginning of phase 2 as well.
Yeah.
Like, and they're kind of doing that by bringing in these characters that I haven't seen since phase 1. I don't know. I'm getting excited. That's like triggering the like, oh yeah, I love this stuff. Like, I really like this when they're doing it well and doing it right. Steve, how likely do you think it is that we're gonna get Bruce Banner in this show or this movie?
Yeah,
because they're really filling it up with Hulk people.
I would assume. I would assume you've got to. Like, it's there for the taking, and it's not like Ruffalo has said he's not going to do it, and he showed up in She-Hulk, so.
Or do we get She-Hulk? Do we get both of them? Do we get Tatiana Maslany coming back?
All the Hulks? We know we're going to get Red Hulk.
I mean, we know that?
I mean, you don't bring Thunderbolt Ross back for not that, do you?
Sure you do. He's a classic. He
yeah.
was an antagonist to the Hulk for 60 years or whatever before he was Red Hulk.
I'm just thinking the way Marvel Studios thinks. Like, you're not going to dive back into that well unless you're going big. Like, are you going to pay Harrison Ford to play that role unless you're making something out of it?
Are you paying Harrison Ford to show up for a day as human Harrison Ford, and then you're just going to do CG character? I guess that all remains to be seen, but it is strange that so many Hulk related characters are showing up in a Captain America movie, but I am also very here for it.
Yeah.
I'm down. I guess I like the Hulk, and I like Hulk characters, and what is it? Universal still owns some of the rights to the Hulk. That's why Marvel can't make a straight up Hulk movie, and he has to be a side character.
Right.
In all these other shows or in movies and things. Which is fine, but like, give me more of his world and stuff. So like, I'm excited to see these characters come back.
Well, and like, you've got Scar now, like.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's got a kid. Like, he's got to show up somewhere.
Yep. Yeah. I feel like he'll be around. So we'll see. But speaking of shifts and changes and stuff happening in the MCU has hired new writers for both the Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts. So
that seems. I mean,
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll
Yeah.
get through all the details. Do our speculating. So, original Fantastic Four writers Jeff Kaplan and Ian Springer are being replaced by a guy named Josh Friedman to write a new script. Friedman has written. He wrote Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. He co-created Terminator: Sarah Connor Chronicles, and most recently, he was a writer of Avatar 2: The Way of Water. Uh, the Hollywood Reporter is assuming that the switch from Kaplan and Springer to Josh Friedman signals that they're kind of going for a different tone, where Kaplan and Singer are known for more like kind of like comedic, lighthearted fare, and Friedman does a lot more like sci-fi drama stuff, like Terminator stuff or War of the Worlds, Avatar. And maybe they're going more in that direction than little less on the lighthearted, funny side, and a little more of the sci-fi adventure stylings. And that's being directed by Matt Shackman, who was creator of WandaVision, and is still scheduled to be in theaters February of 2025. So this is one that I feel like is a good candidate to get moved based on the fact that it just got a new writer. And
we have no idea if we have a cast or...
And there's been no casting, anything like that. Because okay, hold on. And then also Lee Sung Jin has Thunderbolt.
I think we lost Mike. Lee Sung Jin has signed on to rewrite the Thunderbolts script. Jin was brought on by director Jake Schreier. Thunderbolts is scheduled for 2024 in July, which I'm thinking is probably ambitious at best and not going to happen at most likely. Seems like a decent movie that I'm interested in seeing what they do with, but it's kind of in a weird place with...
Am I back?
You are back now.
Okay.
I was just discussing how it seems very unlikely that they're actually going to hit the proposed July 24 date with Thunderbolts.
For sure. Like I was about to say that about Fantastic Four, and then this movie's supposed to come out almost a year before that. And they're just hiring a new writer. Like, yo, both of these are big candidates for being moved, I think. We just talked about, if they're going to slow things down and space things out, both of these I feel like are going to go.
Yeah.
And especially in the case of Fantastic Four, with Thunderbolts, you're reutilizing a lot of characters that we're familiar with. So in that case, like this guy, Lee Sung Jin, is writing for existing characters. Whereas whoever's writing Fantastic Four, like those characters exist, but if they're not cast yet, like a script, a script changing tone may mean that one of the actors that is really good at lighthearted family comedies is not going to be as good if the script is a tonal shift to like a more of a serious sci-fi drama.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we haven't heard, it's been a long time since we've heard any rumors about Fantastic Four casting, and they even came out and said, like, we haven't cast anybody yet, they've said it a couple times. So it may be that they don't have a cast for this movie yet, and it makes sense if they don't even have a finalized script. And I know we've heard rumors, we've heard hard facts about Marvel starting filming before they're done writing scripts and things like that.
Right.
The fact that they are doing this and hiring new writers before they start production, I think is a good sign, because it means that they want to make sure the script is like tight and good before they start shooting. But in the case of Fantastic Four, if no one's been cast yet, they're probably waiting until the script is finalized before they even cast, which I think is also a very good idea. So you're fitting the role, not just fitting the character. Does that make sense?
No, 100%.
Yeah. So if that's the case and Fantastic Four hasn't even been cast yet, then I think it's going to get pushed for sure.
Yeah, it's the most likely. It's the most likely way for it to go.
Indeed, my friend. Indeed. By the way, I had no idea that I dropped out until I heard you say, "Looks like we lost Mike," and I said, "What? You did?" It was wild.
Well,
was like,
You
"What do
did.
mean you lost me?" Yeah. Last week's show was nothing but backstage drama and in studio fighting and you know controversy.
Hmm.
Only a dash of that this week. Too much of it last week. Too much of it last week. This week, perfect amount. One little story, and it's not even like an ongoing thing. It's just over. Marvel or Disney has fired. I don't really Marvel head of Marvel Entertainment, I guess was his division, right?
Sure.
Anyway, Disney has fired him. Ike Perlmutter, who we've mentioned on the show before, for not
Never.
great reasons.
I was going to say never in glowing terms.
Never in glowing terms. However, I will say this. He has been with Marvel since 1997 when he merged Marvel with his other company that he co-owned, Toy Biz. He merged Marvel and Toy Biz, and this merger is partly looked at as what helped Marvel escape bankruptcy in the 90s. Marvel almost went bankrupt in the 90s, if you don't know. I think we've mentioned it on the show.
Yeah.
Not in a long time, but that's why Marvel had to start licensing their characters to movie studios. Like, that's why they don't own Spider-Man. It's why Universal owns part of the Hulk. It's why Fox was making X-Men and Fantastic Four movies until Disney bought them, you know. That's why Disney didn't own, like Daredevil for a while. So, that and apparently wrapping Marvel up with Toy Biz and starting to make X-Men action figures, which I went crazy for
Oh,
when I
yeah.
was a kid, helped bring Marvel out of bankruptcy. So looking at that, Ike Perlmutter, this guy, he helped save Marvel, which is great. Good for him. He's also, from all reports, a total ass, known for being incredibly cheap, a big penny pitcher. I heard someone on a podcast this week say that there are stories of him. He would go over to like Marvel headquarters and start turning off lights if he thought there were too many lights on. Like
Wow.
that kind of like level of saving money. Yeah.
You should hang out with my dad, who does that here all the time.
I know, yeah. He's also more recently known for tying the hands of Kevin Feige when he was trying to build the MCU, telling him no, he couldn't do certain things. And some of those things that Kevin Feige was told no about was making films like Black Panther, Black Widow, Captain Marvel, because Ike Perlmutter, very famous for believing that women or minority-led films never worked at the box office. So he is to blame for not getting a Black Panther movie until we did, and not getting when people are like, oh, this Black Widow movie is good, but it should have been in phase 1. Yeah, it should have been in phase 1. Or phase 2, and I think Kevin Feige would have put it in phase 1 or phase 2 if this guy hadn't been standing in his way. Same with Black Panther. So, but he got fired. I don't think they even really said why. But
Not that I heard.
I didn't read a blatant reason. I guess they said they let him go, and that they were they were merging his
laid off
department with
and,
something
yeah.
else. Yeah. So like they just got rid of him, and I'm sure it was because he's an ass. And
Right.
that's fine with me.
Totally mutual, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure Kevin Feige kicked his feet up on his desk and had a nice little drink when he heard that news last week. Two little bits of DC news before we jump into comics. Blue Beetle. They announced there was a teaser announcement for a trailer debut. Trailer for Blue Beetle is going to be released tomorrow. And it's up in the air. It's possible that Steve and I may jump on to do a quick reaction to it tomorrow evening. We'll keep you posted if that happens, or I guess check your feed. If it doesn't happen, then we'll just talk about it next week. But we'll see. Anyway, this teaser was just kind of like a graphic that said Jaime Reyes is a superhero, whether he likes it or not. Blue Beetle trailer tomorrow. Cool music. Cool, like the art of the scarab and stuff, the style of it I really like. I'm very excited to see this trailer because I just get vibes of like a different feel and a different style.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a different character. And it's a character we've never seen on the big screen before. I've never seen him in live action before. He's been in a bunch of cartoons and stuff, but and that tagline tells me they kind of understand the character. Jaime Reyes is a superhero whether he likes it or not. his version of Blue Beetle is different from the other incarnations of Blue Beetle, where he's got this like magic alien ancient scarab that has affixed itself to his back, and he didn't choose it to be affixed to his back. It's
Right.
just there, and he can't do anything about it, and he has to learn to work with this weird alien technology that talks to him and is in his head, and when it wants to, covers him in this cool alien looking beetle like suit. So it's like an adjustment, and it looks like they're kind of leaning into that, which I think makes for some good conflict and an interesting premise for a superhero movie. So we'll see about that trailer tomorrow. Steve, level 1 to 5, what's your level of excitement for this Blue Beetle movie based on everything that you've seen? Not being very familiar with the character, but we've seen behind the scenes shots of the costume. We've seen like title designs and like the styling that I was talking about. 1 to 5, what's your excitement level?
Oh, high 3s, low 4s, somewhere in there.
Oh, okay. Okay. Cool.
The concept and everything I've heard about the character and everything just seems intriguing enough that I'm looking forward to seeing whatever it is in live action.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
You?
I'm saying I'm at a 4.
Okay.
I think. Because it's DC, because it feels different, and because it's a character that we've never seen in live action. All those things pump it up there a little bit for me. I think if we do a trailer reaction tomorrow, we should make sure that we ask each other that same question and see if it's changed.
Right. How it went.
How it affects. Yeah, exactly.
How it's going. How it is.
Yeah, how it started, how it's going.
There you go.
So we
way
we'll
to be
check that
hipping
out.
with it on that, Mike.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. So yeah, keep your eye open for that trailer tomorrow. Another bit of DC news that I was very happy about. We reported a week or two ago that one of the animated series that was let go by HBO Max, Batman the Caped Crusader, had found a home at Amazon. Now, the other one that they announced a few years ago, and I was very excited about, My Adventures with Superman, has found a home not at Amazon, but at Adult Swim, which is interesting.
Seems
because
weird.
It seems weird, and I think it's maybe it's going to be a Superman show that they want. I don't think it's going to be like a vulgar adult humor kind of.
We're not
show.
getting a Aqua Teen Hunger Force crosses over with
exactly. Yeah,
Jimmy Olsen.
I don't think it's Venture Brothers, but with Superman.
Right.
But I think they just wanted it because it's probably gonna be good. They want to, they want, like, who wouldn't want a Superman show on their channel, right?
Yeah.
So it's gonna be. But the interesting part is the HBO Max dropped this show because it's gonna be on Adult Swim, which is on Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network is owned by Warner Brothers, so that when this series goes to streaming, it'll be on HBO Max, which is weird.
Okay, sure.
It's just not going to be an HBO Max original. I guess that's the difference. It's not only going to be an HBO Max, right? That's the difference. That's where they're
Yeah, I don't know.
the profit, I guess.
We've reached the point in streaming where I just don't understand or care. It's just like, yeah, okay. Tell me where it is, I'll find it.
The show features slightly younger versions of Clark Kent, Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen. They're kind of like trying to make a name for themselves. The Daily Planet. Also, Clark obviously trying to balance being Superman at the same time. We don't know any casting except that Jack Quaid is voicing Clark / Superman, which I think was announced a while ago. But no other casting. Jack Quaid being one of the stars of The Boys. And what else was he in? Scream 5. Those are the two things I know Jack Quaid from. He does a voice in something else. Doesn't he do a voice in something else? Got a kids movie or something that I've seen, maybe.
Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh, not what I was thinking of, but
And apparently he's in the Hunger Games series.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
What a guy.
Is he? He's not one of the Quaids, is he? No, he is. He's the son of Dennis.
He's Dennis Quaid's son. Yep.
Okay.
Nepo baby.
Don't picture like that's. I don't get Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid from that.
I could see Dennis Quaid in him a little bit.
Oh, you know what? I'm thinking of Randy.
Oh yeah, no,
Very,
don't think of
very
Randy.
different. Yeah.
Don't think of Randy Quaid.
Uncle Eddie is not what I'm looking for here.
Yeah, I mean you can think of him in that movie, but he's like off the deep end now. I don't know.
Oh,
if
is he?
kept Up on...
No.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Think of him think of him fondly from Christmas Vacation, and then stop thinking about him.
Fair.
One little bit of comic book news. Marvel is launching an all-new Blade. I almost said all-nude. Whoa, that'd be a
Very different book.
An all-new Blade series this summer. Brian Hill and Elena Casagrande will be helming the new title, where the synopsis is that Blade accidentally releases a dark and ancient power, been dormant for hundreds of years, and then Marvel's entire supernatural underworld will demand that Blade either take care of it or pay for his mistakes with a pound of flesh. Blade #1 hits stores this July. Steve, you ever read Blade?
In and out. Like not a, on it for a full run or anything. I've cut an issue here or there.
Yeah, I don't think I own a full Blade comic book. I know that I have books that he has shown up in.
Yeah.
It was always kind of more like that. And, after the movie, I think the movie was the first time I'd even heard of him,
yeah.
To be honest with you.
What time? What time did the original Blade come out? Was it like 8:02 p.m. or so? Or
yep, yeah, it was 8:02 on a Friday. Was the first showing of Blade.
Perfect.
97.
I was gonna say 6, so but in that ballpark, like that mid to late 90s. Okay.
Because it was before X-Men.
Yeah.
It was before X-Men. So, anyway, new Blade series. Pumped about that. Possibly in time to have a series up and running whenever that movie comes out. Speaking of comics, this week in your local comic book store, Adventures of Superman John Kent #2, Amazing Spider-Man #23, American Dreams. This is a book from Daniel Kaplan, I think is how you say his last name. I'm not really sure. We follow each other on Twitter. He's a great comic book creator. This is coming out. It was an independent release that is now.
I have it up there.
Oh yeah, I do too. Oh, I didn't know you got that. Awesome. Oh, yeah. American Dreams. It was an independent release that is now being put out by Band of Bards, comic book publisher we've mentioned a few times, just down the road in Buffalo a little bit. American Dreams #1 coming out in comic book stores. Awesome. Batman 134, Batman Vengeance of Bane one-shot #1. I don't know what that is, but sounds good. Captain America Sentinel of Liberty #11, Cosmic Ghost Rider #2, Disney Villains Scar #1, Fables #158, Flash #796, Final Gamble #3. This is another one from Band of Bards down the road in Buffalo. Hell to Pay #4, I Hate This Place #7, Icon versus Hardware #2, Lycan #1, a third one from our friends Band of Bards Publishing down the road in Buffalo. They're really hitting the
Are they in Buffalo
this week? They are in Buffalo. They're called Band of Bards, and I know them.
There you go.
So I'm shouting them out. That's a big deal. Planet of the Apes #1 for Marvel. Poison Ivy #11. I continue to love Poison Ivy. Poison Ivy is currently one of the most popular books that DC has. That isn't like a Batman book or Superman book.
That's
wild, but amazing.
Speaking of our friends, Jesse down at Funky Town Comics was waxing poetic this week of that is the first book to sell out every week at this point.
Yeah,
he said everything he can get in, they just move because it is that good.
Always goes. Saga #63, Scarlet Witch #4, Scooby-Doo Where Are You #121, Skull and Bones #2, Sonic the Hedgehog #1, brand new #1 for Sonic, Star Wars 33, Sweet Candy Vigilante #5, Venom #18, Wolverine 32. Steve, are you picking up any of these books?
I don't know. Might take a try. Well, I don't have to pick up American Dreams because I already own it, so that's an easy one.
I also already own it. Yep.
I don't know. We'll see what jumps at me. Always up for a good werewolf tale, so Lycan seems to be in the wheelhouse.
Yeah, for sure.
I did come this close to just purchasing a fully annotated Sandman 1-20 at Barnes and Noble.
Ooh.
I was walking around waiting for something, and it was 40% off and I was like, I should buy this. And then my wife was the voice of reason and said, you shouldn't buy this. I was like, yes, you're right. I already own this book in various forms.
Oh,
I do not
yeah,
need
it's true.
another copy of The Sandman. But it was really
It's true,
cool,
but
and it was fully
yeah,
annotated
it
by
was really cool.
Gaiman, and yeah,
Yeah, you sent me a picture of it. It did look really cool.
yeah. I was
Yeah.
holding that took every bit of human restraint I had.
Mm. Mm.
You?
Cool.
Anything in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'm definitely getting. Well, I'm getting the new Batman because on my pull list. This Vengeance of Bane.
Oh, yeah.
It's a one shot. Like I don't know what that is, but like it's a one shot. I'll take it. If it's gonna be like a full story in one issue, yeah, why not? Hopefully it'll be good. And Flash 796, I think, is the finale of the 1 Minute War. So that'll be the end of that.
Nice.
I think I told you I read the first issue or two of I Hate This Place, and I thought it was great. And then I could not find the next issue like anywhere. So I definitely looking for a trade on that when it comes out. Poison Ivy, I'll definitely read. Saga, I'll read someday. I'm not all caught up on Saga. So
I've got the first trade sitting over there waiting for me to crack into, and I just have never gotten there.
I've got the first three like big.
Oh, like an
hardcover
Omni type.
books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just bought all three of them before I'd
Nice.
even read any of them. I bought all three. I've read the first two. It's great. But then I was trying at first I was like, "Ooh, Saga's coming back from hiatus. I got to read all of these." And then I realized like, "Oh, well, if I have all three of these hardcover volumes, like I kind of want the rest of it to be in those volumes too." So I don't want to start going week for week. So I don't have to rush to read all three before it comes back from hiatus. I can just wait until book 4 comes out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know.
Yeah, I guess I should
explaining
should
things.
just grab it because it is. I mean, it's Brian K. Vaughan, so you know it's going to be. Decent.
Oh yeah, dude, it's great. You'll like it.
Nice.
Yeah, you'll like it. But I knew they did go on hiatus with a huge cliffhanger. So I guess if I had read up to that cliffhanger and then bought the first issue, then I would have could have alleviated that a little bit.
Yeah, it could have been right on it, but yeah,
too late. I already didn't do that. A couple one shots for you before we say goodnight. This is cool. Steve, you've seen the movie Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
absolutely. Featuring the aforementioned Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
Correct. If you haven't seen that, if you're a nerd out there and you haven't seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, you have to remedy that. It's an incredible film done by Edgar Wright, guy who did Shaun of the Dead and other great
Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz, Baby Driver. Great director. It's a super fun, super hilarious, wild movie. And it didn't blow up the box office when it came out, but it's just got a good cult following. And now it's getting a Netflix anime adaptation. That was announced this week, and they also announced that the entire original cast of the movie is reprising their roles in this animated version. So
which when this came out, this cast wasn't like a holy god cast. Like, how did you do this? When Mike reads these names to you, the cast the cast has grown up a little, folks.
Yeah, for sure. And so it's like, I feel like it's hard to get an entire cast of anything to reunite for anything. And this is not just reuniting for like one thing. This is reuniting for an entire series.
Right, for full voiceover.
And even before I read the cast, I'll say like, you might be thinking like, okay, if there's already a movie, why do I need an animated version? Well, because it's based on the Scott Pilgrim is a comic. It's an ongoing original comic book. Actually, I don't know if they're still making it, but might have.
Yeah, I don't know. But might be over.
Is an original comic was run by this guy Brian Lee O'Malley, and they adapted parts of or one story arc from that series to Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I think they hint at other things. So this animated show is going to be kind of based on the movie and based on the actual book itself. So it probably won't be the same exact story of the movie. It might bring in some of those elements, but if there's other seasons or whatever, then yes, will go into other stuff from the books and whatnot. So this is not the entire cast. This is just like the highlights, I guess I should say. No offense to anybody. The Netflix Scott Pilgrim animated show will feature Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers, and Kieran Culkin, Aubrey Plaza, Chris Evans, Brie Larson, Anna Kendrick, Brandon Routh, and Jason Schwartzman, and many, many more. Yes, that movie is great. All those people are in it.
Yeah.
In live action, you can see their faces.
In much younger
Wonderful.
forms than they are now.
Much younger forms. Like, I forgot that Brie Larson was in that
Yeah,
movie
same.
at all. Yeah, it's so crazy. Awesome. Makes me want to rewatch the film. So
I was literally just thinking that. I was like, I wonder where that is on streaming.
yeah, I'm gonna have to find that out. That was a long time to talk about a one shot, but
It was worth it.
cool. Yeah.
Well, I guess in that case, we're going to get our Mulder and Scully on for the next one, as Ryan Coogler is developing a reboot of The X-Files. Yeah, and who knows what that means, or whether I'm assuming Mulder and Scully are a little on the aged side at this juncture, so probably recast at some point, or reimagined, or new, agents.
Yeah.
The original creator, Chris Carter, broke the news in an interview this week. Although it's very early in the process, he said Coogler will be, quote-unquote, remounting the X-Files with a diverse cast. He has his work cut out for him because we covered so much territory, end quote.
That's true. I feel like that show was on for like 9 seasons, wasn't it?
Yeah, it definitely just kept going.
And that was in the days of 22, 24 episodes per season. So, yeah. I think this is cool. I think the X-Files is a cool property that they've tried to bring back. They did a couple like short reunion seasons, I think, in the last like 5 years or 10 years or something. But I think it's due for like a reboot because it's a cool property and it's a cool premise.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people that really loved that show.
When I was a kid, I loved, like, I was in like the first few seasons when it was on. I remember watching. I was probably too young to be watching some of them because some of them were terrifying. But yeah, it was great. I fell off before they got even close to season 9, I think. But like you were saying, it'll be interesting to see, I think, if it's like a reboot, or if it is like a legend. What do they call them? Like a legendary sequel or something?
Yeah, like a Top
Legacy.
Gun.
Legacy. That's the
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Force Awakens, where it's like new characters, but it's also the old characters too. Like it's in the same world as the movie that you remember, like Creed.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, same universe, new characters, that kind of thing. Like, will David Duchovny appear as like a grizzled, trainer or something, or Dana Scully, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll take either one, I guess. I'll give this a shot. Ryan Coogler's a talented guy. He's a good director, good writer, and I'll be down. I'll be down for this.
Absolutely.
Last one shot of the week: Star Trek Starfleet Academy series that was announced as being in development at Paramount Plus has gotten a series order. So this is going to be like a kind of a coming of age story about new recruits at the titular Starfleet Academy. It's going to be the 5th Star Trek show to be running on Paramount Plus after Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Lower Decks, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. I've heard all those shows are great. I haven't watched a single frame of one of them.
I have actually this week I started Strange New Worlds.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I heard. I mean, Discovery I watched a season and a half of. It was okay. Picard I heard mixed things about. Lower Decks I haven't gotten to, but Strange New Worlds has been phenomenal actually. I'm like 4 episodes in, and it's great.
I heard nothing but good things about Strange New Worlds.
Yeah,
but.
Anson Mount and crew. I think Anson Mount, Rebecca Romaine is number 1.
Oh yeah.
And there's a whole, everybody plays a great, legacy character. Like the guy who's playing Spock feels like Spock.
Yeah.
The guy who's playing, or the actress who's playing Uhura feels like Uhura. Like it's well done. And Anson Mount is Chris Pike, who was the his mentor.
Yeah.
So,
I probably would try one of these if I had Paramount Plus. That's another reason that I haven't dived in. But yeah, like we've said a lot on this podcast, great time to be a Star Trek fan. Great time to be a Trekkie.
Oh yeah.
All over the place. And I think that brings us to the end of our show.
I would say so.
Like I said, there's 2 other shows we recorded tonight that should be in your feed also. If
They're already
got
set
this
up
one
and
first, so you're like sad that it's over. You want to hear us talk more? We already did it, so you can do that. Plus, we might be back with a Blue Beetle thing tomorrow, so who knows?
right. If
We'll
45
get to it.
minutes of us wasn't enough, then
Yeah.
you can always hang out with us longer.
Anytime you want. Anytime you want. But that's all I got, I think, this week, Steve.
Same here. I'd say if you need to get a hold of us in the interim, you just can't wait for the next episode, feel free to reach out. The Multiverse Report at gmail.com. The Multiverse Report on most of the socials, Multiverse RPT on Twitter. Feel free to subscribe via Apple Podcasts, like, review. Let us know that you want us to continue this, and well, we're going to continue it even if you don't. So here we are, and that's what I got.
If you don't want us to continue it, tell us anyway, and we will continue in defiance of you, your very existence.
There you go.
Let's take that. And yeah, that's it. So until next time, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the multiverse.